tragedy.
We lost just a huge leader in our community, and also someone that we all considered like, you know, a little bit of the example to follow.
After 6 months of near silence, Denver7 has some answers about who's responsible for the deadly fire on August 5th.
Plus, the state expands its mass vaccination program while making sure everyone has access. And the president takes action on climate, but Colorado's oil and gas industry is crying foul.
5 precious lives was taken away, including babies. So anybody that's out there, if you have a heart and you care about human being, come forward and just help us solve this crime.
Well, it took nearly 6 months, but today we got some answers. 3 juvenile males have been arrested in connection with that house fire that killed 3 adults, a toddler, and an infant.
The Gell family moved to Colorado from Senegal, and they died on August 5th when their home on Truckee Street near Pena Boulevard and 56th burned down. 2 days later, Denver police announced a $14,000 reward. On August 19th, police released these surveillance photos of 3 masked suspects. And then in September, they increased the reward to $40,000.
And that brings us to today and these arrests. Denver7's Lance Hernandez joins us now after talking to Denver police.
And Lance, Chief Paul Pazin emphasized today that they do not think this was a hate crime.
Well, he wouldn't go into any detail, Ann, about that, nor would he talk about a possible motive. He did say that the 3 teenagers, all 3 of them boys, 2 16-year-olds and a 15-year-old, were arrested this morning in Jefferson County. Now, police believe those 3 teenagers were the ones wearing masks spotted in the Green Valley Ranch neighborhood about the same time that house was set ablaze. That blaze claimed 5 lives. Jibril and Aja Joel and their 2-year-old daughter Khadijah and Joel's sister Hassan and her infant daughter Hawabaye died in that blaze. The big concern was that the arson might have been a hate crime. Denver Police Chief Paul Pazin talked about that this afternoon.
There are no facts that we are aware of at this time that would indicate this is a bias-motivated case. If something changes, then obviously we can make changes to those types of charges.
This was one of the most heinous crimes I've ever seen or witnessed in our city, as mayor or otherwise. And it was also very, hit me to the core.
It is a relief. However, there's still some concern about the crime, and especially not knowing the why. And we need to still protect the investigation. There's still some concern, but I'm going to be working with the detective to continue our great collaboration with the community to put them at ease.
There is relief in Denver tonight, relief across Colorado, and relief on the other side of the globe in the East African nation of Senegal, where the Joel family was from, that this does not appear to be a bias-motivated crime. The big question, though, why? Why was that house set on fire? As we learn more, we will let you know. And just to tag out, Denver police say that reward from Crime Stoppers was instrumental in helping them solve this case. Back to you.
Wow, what a tragedy. Lance, thank you. Now to COVID. We could pass 5,000 COVID deaths in Colorado this weekend. 64 more were reported today. 4,881 have been reported in all.
The state leaders say more than 20,000 doses of the vaccine were given out yesterday, and 98,000 people are now fully vaccinated. That's 1.6% of our state's population. National Jewish told us today they're planning another mass vaccination event this weekend.
UC Health has 11 fixed vaccine clinics up and running in addition to this weekend's mass vaccination event at Coors Field. UC Health officials say they will give out 10,000 shots on Saturday and Sunday at Coors. They piloted the process last weekend with great success, and hospital leaders said today that they could vaccinate more people. They just don't have enough vaccine.
Based on our experience last weekend, including entering the parking lot at Coors Field until leaving, which also includes a 15-minute required observation period, the longest time it took us to vaccinate a patient was 26 minutes.
And equity has been a problem nationwide. White people have access to the vaccine at more than double the rate of Latinos and blacks.
And a nonprofit serving Denver's Latino community is helping get the vaccine into their arms this weekend. It's just one of several mass vaccination events planned for the Latino community in the coming weeks.
Denver7's Patrick Perez is live tonight to explain. Patrick?
Hey, and we know that Latinos make up about 20% of the state's COVID-19 deaths, but so far, only 4% of the Latino population in Colorado has been vaccinated. And that's why this group, Servicios de la Raza, wants to bring that number up with this event happening this weekend.
For decades, Servicios de la Raza has served the Latino community in Denver in many ways.
Multiple human services that run the spectrum from behavioral health to health access to emergency services, on and on and on.
This weekend, the nonprofit will host a vaccine drive with the help of the state. The goal, to vaccinate 600 people 70 and older against COVID-19.
The difference is really life and death. It is.
According to the CDC, Hispanics and Latinos made up more than half of Denver's adult COVID-19 cases, hospitalizations, and deaths the first 7 months of the pandemic. That's despite the demographic making up less than a quarter of Denver's population.
Just that is stark in terms of how we are suffering at a very elevated risk in this pandemic of not just sickness but death.
Gonzalez believes Hispanics and Latinos are more likely to catch COVID-19 because they're more likely to be on the front lines and in essential work. They also often live with multiple members of their family, so getting people in this group vaccinated is a top priority.
It is personal, and it is that we need to do this. We need to do this for ourselves and our families, our communities, and our world at this point.
One shot in the arm at a time.
And this free drive-up vaccine drive is happening Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 9 to 3 right here at this location. And by the way, last I checked, nearly 500 out of the 600 appointments for this weekend had already been filled. Shannon.
All right, Patrick, thank you very much, and welcome to Denver7 to hit the ground running. We appreciate that. And starting Monday, the state hotline will be staffed 24/7 to answer your vaccine questions. The number there is on your screen. Now, we have to warn you, there was a 45-minute wait time when Denver7 tried calling yesterday.
January has now become the deadliest month of the pandemic in the U.S. Johns Hopkins University reports nearly 80,000 virus-related deaths this month alone. Today, White House medical advisors held their first briefing to outline their plan. And step one is get the vaccine vials to states faster. And step two is to buy more. White House leaders said today they will buy millions more doses and set a new goal of vaccinating 300 million Americans by the end of summer.
We are taking action to increase supply and increase capacity. But even so, it will be months before everyone who wants a vaccine will be able to get one.
Colorado is giving out almost every vaccine dose that comes in, and that is not true everywhere. The CDC says over 44 million doses have been distributed, but just over half of those have made it into arms.
Denver will get about $22 million in emergency rental assistance funds from the federal government. That money will be used to pay rent for families who are on unemployment and also make less than 80% of the area median income. So for a family of four, that is $78,500. This program helped more than 2,000 Coloradans last year. Well, President Biden signed several executive actions today related to climate change. The moves will set climate change as a key national security and foreign policy, establishes a national task force of 21 government agencies, directs the federal government to purchase clean, made-in-America vehicles, and it freezes new oil and gas leases on federal land.
Today is Climate Day at the White House, and which means that today is Jobs Day at the White House.
Now, the decision to freeze oil and gas drilling, it's being roundly criticized by Colorado Republicans.
Colorado Congressman Ken Buck called the move a, quote, assault on the industry, which rips good-paying jobs away from oil and gas workers, many of whom reside in Colorado's 4th District. Congresswoman Lauren Boebert said if we aren't the ones developing these resources, other countries will. In the long run, this does much more damage to our environment. Now, Democrats largely applauded the move, including Colorado Governor Jared Polis. He said in a statement, national progress on moving to cleaner, less expensive cars and cleaner energy is good for America and good for Colorado.
38-year-old Monica Charles has been identified as the driver killed in a Saturday afternoon crash involving that Denver fire truck. 2 others are still in the hospital tonight. Fire officials say the truck had its lights and sirens on at the time of the crash at Spear and Broadway. An investigation is ongoing. And Denver Fire tells us they will do what they can to make sure this never happens again.
Temperatures were milder today, and a big warm-up is on the way for the next 2 days.
Plus, as we celebrate National News Literacy Week, we'll show you the Colorado student newspaper digging up scoops that make pro-journalists jealous.
We have to get sides from students who are super far right and super far left.
And the country says farewell to a baseball legend.